This is the Bars to Chains podcast. But before we get into today's episode, I want to give a special shout out to Anchor, what makes us be able to do what we do on this podcast, and I'm going to go briefly over why. The creation tools on this app is super easy to use. Once you download the app, it's even on your website. However you would like to edit and record your podcast, you'd be able to use the creation tools to edit, take anything out, add anything. If you want to add sound effects, music, anything like that, it gives it at a touch of a button. You also have no minimum listenership, so if you feel that you have $1 million idea and you want to get your podcast a bunch of views, you can make money off of it just by having a little sponsor segment like this one you're hearing now. And the distribution tools on it as well. Once you post your podcast onto Anchor, it'll distribute it to your other platforms, and without having to do it individually, it'll do it at the touch of a button, and it'll give you the links to those as well. It's easy access as well, guys. This is super, literally easy to use. I am not a tech savvy guy by any means, and I literally do it all in the touch of a button, and it just does it all for me. It does the work for me. Now, most importantly, you want to hear this. It's the favorite F word ever. This is all easy to use, and it's free. All you literally have to do if you want to have any sort of income back from it is just have a sponsor segment, and even if you choose not to, you can still use it, and it'll work for you. Now, if you plan to start a podcast, make sure you use this. It's something you don't want to miss, and make sure you give them a shout out, as they will always reach back out to you too. They have an awesome following on their social media pages, so make sure you tag them when you post your episodes. Thank you guys so much. We love you all, and enjoy today's episode. Welcome back to the Bars to Chains podcast, where I have two new guests in that I've never had in before. I have my buddy Marshay and Aliaz.
Yo, what's up?
Well, we're gonna kind of break into some more hip hop stuff with artists that we haven't really talked much about before. Meek's been mentioned, but we never really dissected his music to its core element, and being able to showcase how he's evolved as an artist. We'll be talking a little bit of Fabulous today too, and we'll be talking a lot about Russ, artists that haven't really been so much the headliners in their respective genre, but they've been very impactful in behind the scenes stuff, and into an area where Aliaz will kind of break down as well, like how Russ kind of changed the game. So where I kind of want to start with Meek is, I've been following Meek since probably, I would say, Dream Chasers 1 was the very first time I ever heard Meek. I'm aware that he has previous music to that. I've gone through that catalog, but if everyone has the first time they heard a certain artist and where that whatever album that was or whatever, and that one just happened to be Dream Chasers 1. So, like, as far as how far back you go with Meek, what was, like, the first project you heard from him?
I'll probably say my first project of Meek was honestly DC 2 or 3. It was one of those when he came out with that, and then just the impact he had on the game when he first came in was just honestly ridiculous.
So, Aliaz, when we were talking before, you don't have too big of a following for Meek, right?
No, not personally. The first time I heard about Meek was like the Drake Meek, like beef. Yeah, that was the first time I ever like heard of him. And then like looking back at him, like I've heard his music before, but I never focused in or pinned in on the artist that made the song more. So I have never really followed Drake or Meek throughout.
No, you're good.
I never followed Meek throughout like his career, to be honest.
So I mean, just to kind of get like an idea of who you are, when you look into hip hop, are you a person that likes to follow, like, listen to albums like from beginning to end and follow artistry that way, or are you more of like, you kind of pick certain songs that you like out of them and then you kind of dissect them from there?
I really like albums, honestly. Yeah. If an album is like a story from front to back, then it's like my favorite. Like I don't know if you've heard of the Kid Laroi.
His
album Fuck Love is great. But I don't know. Like just the storyline throughout it had skits, and it was different from everybody else, and that's what I like. I don't really like the basic just rapping.
Well, and see, and that's the thing is that, I never really
followed Meek though, so I can't.
Yeah, I've been, since I was a kid, I was more along the lines of like
watching like friends, like they only like certain songs, and it's like usually it's the ones that play on the radio, and they think that they know that artist because of that, and it's like, well, you actually like learn more about them as artists outside of the songs that hit the radio or hit mainstream platforms. Exactly. And it's like, I think that's why I have a huge like appreciation for Meek, because there's a lot more to the artist than what you hear on the radio or what plays, you know, mainstream media wise. Even with the beefs, like it was it didn't show the side of Meek that I was hoping. I mean, even in those beefs that he had with Drake and Game, I thought like I was hoping I was gonna see like Meek tap into that level to be able to fuck with juggernauts. You know what I mean? And that didn't happen, and it was kind of like it kind of felt like I got short sold on it. But yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna kind of like start from the beginning, I mean, kind of showcase where he's really made his name known out in Philly. Like people talk about him like how people would talk about like Pac in California, or
for sure,
like, you know, Biggie out in New York, like, and even like Lil Wayne out in Louisiana. Like he's the guy, you know what I mean? Or like even like to even be bigger than that, like Kanye out in Chicago, like he's that mogul, you know what I mean? And like it's just kind of a trip to see like him evolve throughout the years, because I mean, I'll be really honest, like mixtape Meek to me was like his best version of himself. But the problem that I had that when he started making his albums was that he wasn't translating mixtape Meek to album Meek. Like his very first album is like, it was okay. The follow-up album is the one that, like, out of all his whole catalog, I despise the most. I cannot wrap myself around being able to appreciate that project, because it seemed like he got more infatuated with trying to sell rather than trying to
rap and
to put lyrics behind his music. So.
Yeah, and there definitely was a point in time where Meek was doing that a lot, to where he was rapping, but he wasn't rapping. And then, to be honest, and like I was saying kind of earlier, before this, but Meek, after he hit jail and all that, when he got that dirt bike incident and all that, he went to jail for it and all that. After he came out, he just became raw. Like after that, like it honestly gave you that raw side of Meek. He just sat in jail. He had time to sit and think about a lot of the shit that was going on in the world, especially with him, his culture, our culture. So he sat there and he came out, and that's when I honestly became a biggest fan of Meek, was after he got out of jail, and then he just really released a lot of that real raw shit. So
out of all his projects, what is your favorite?
I'd probably have to say DC4. Yeah. Out of all the projects, because that whole album to me was just a great album. It honestly was. And then you got Dreams and Nightmares. You just got a lot of things that Meek released after that fact, that he just came out and was just real raw with it, and all the verses.
I wouldn't say like Championships was my favorite project, by like his. See, here's the thing: is I have a big appreciation for Championships, because it was. I finally saw mixtape Meek and album Meek meet in one project, and I felt like he really didn't hold back. You know, he put bangers in there on top of, like, there was some slept on tracks. Like the intro to it was really hard, and no one really cares about an intro
to a song. Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah, like there's just there was like that feeling of like it seemed like he put everything he had into every single track on the album. Like there wasn't hardly any throwaways for me. And it turned into a perfect project. And I mean, now if I'm going to pick my most favorite, it probably is Dream Chasers 3. That's what put me on Meek and had me like, you have that album by an artist that makes you like want to follow all the way through. Like every time you hear that they're dropping, you're like first in line to get it. Yeah. Yes, like, I mean, for Kendrick, mine was Good Kid, Mad City. Like that was after that album that I followed. Everything Kendrick dropped, I was first in line for.
See, and that's the same with me with like Youngboy, because that's one of my top artists. So like after 38 Baby, really the original, the first one. After that, and I just followed him. His storyline, his wordplay, crazy, man.
Yeah. So as far as like I know. So I'm gonna kind of cycle through.
Sitting here, I'm like,
no, yeah. We're going to kind of jump between artist to artist and just kind of keep going, you know, playing tennis, so to speak. With Russ, you had said something before we started the podcast about he kind of revolutionized hip hop in a way, changed the game.
Yeah, just labels. I feel like he, cause one thing that I know Russ like has promoted his whole career is doing everything himself.
Yeah.
And that's what I really inspire from him is just the fact that he does everything himself. Like he makes his own beats. He mixes and masters all his vocals. Like he promotes all his own stuff. Like that's just in my eyes that he really changed the game just for a lot of smaller artists. To show them that you can really do it by yourself. Because a lot of artists, they may blow up and they may have these claims that they do it by themselves, but a lot of them have labels behind them. A lot of people have teams that help promote. They have things that help everything line up. And whereas Russ, he started, and he's worked 10 years, like before he ever blew up. Like first song ever blew up, it was 10 years. It's a process, and it's something that he showed that it is a process. You got to keep working. You can't just give up. And I think he really revolutionized the game as in labels. He made it more possible for people to just release their own music, and not necessarily more possible, but more pushed it to make people realize, oh, I don't have to sign my life to this label, or I don't have to do this for this label. I can do it all by myself. Even though this label's offering me, $100,000, the profits that I get by myself are potentially way bigger. And so
and that's
where he revolutionized the game, personally, how I see it.
Well, and that's something that before I was talking with a big artist in the city before we got on this episode about investing into yourself, and that was it's a real thing that people need to take more seriously if they're trying to get into this like realm of wanting to be big like that, because without investing into yourself first before just wanting to get signed by somebody makes all the difference. You know what I mean? Like you make it to a point where like people, I use this metaphor when I was having that conversation, but people really think that like when you sell out, like when people say that you sold your soul, that it's along the lines of like you are actually sitting in front of Satan and he gives you a contract and you got to sign it and like that and you're rich. That's not how it works. It's you break away from being yourself because you're being told to be a certain way. And artists like Russ, they change that dynamic. Even Meek. I mean, Meek's someone that's has never really been the kind of guy to get signed to a major label and get told how to make his music. And at one point in time he did, and you can tell like he lost a lot of fan base from it. And when he got into a big beef with somebody that lyrically he should have beaten, which was Drake,
lyrically should have blown him out the water. He
got murdered though, because like not only did you lose some of your fan base before that beef even happened, but then you're going against one of the biggest juggernauts in music history.
Clout.
So like
all the clout.
Right now,
it's so hard to beat him.
Right.
With a guy with all that clout. I mean,
so I did talk about this before a little.
Honestly.
I did talk about this a little bit before in a podcast before. But do you feel like Pusha T beat Drake? Cause see, here's the thing: is that the story of Adidon, I know that some of that some of it got false information, and like I get that. But assuming that it wasn't as false as like Kanye saying the stuff that he did, like giving him that like not all of that story was true.
True, yes.
Like,
yes and no.
Did he actually body the king and put him? I'm
gonna say this: yes and no. He definitely did.
Okay.
He lyrically, Pusha T. People sleep on Pusha T, and
right.
Pusha T's always been slept on, and we can say that for sure. A lot of people don't know who Pusha T is. They didn't know who Pusha T was until Drake. Yeah. So, yes and no, because honestly, it boosted Pusha T's career up, boosted Drake's up. Honestly, the way I see it, I just feel like Pusha, he was in the wrong.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Drake was definitely wasn't saying nothing about his child for a reason, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. They make a big deal over this, but you gotta understand, these are celebrities. Yes, they are celebrities, but at the end of the day, they are real people like you and me. The only difference is they got millions. That is literally the only difference.
Well, and they got a lot of eyes watching.
Exactly.
So,
period.
I mean, why would
No, why would you want everybody to be known, especially Drake. He sits up here. Why would you want to be everybody to know you have a child in this world?
About rap career, One thing about rap career, like the rap career in general, and just the rap scene, is I feel like a lot of the beefs almost more planned, staged for clout.
They are nowadays.
Yes,
like even like Meek's and Drake's, I feel like that was definitely like more clout side. Clout pushed anyways. It might have not initially started because of clout, but it ended in them wanting more clout.
Yeah,
and that's just what it comes down to.
Well, and you see the difference between beefs back then as opposed to today. Like beefs today, the internet has
a lot of influence.
Well, it's caused a lot less of having to be violent when you beef with somebody. Like, cause back then, I mean, like there was a story with Nas and Pac where they were having issues, and like Pac rolled up on him, and Nas had dudes that had like machine guns ready for this dude. Like, you pop off, this gonna be your last day. And like,
it depends on what genre, because drill rap is his own genre in itself.
Yeah,
and drill rap beef, that's real
still
beef.
Like that. Yeah.
That's genuine beef. We see that with Vaughn, with a lot of these rappers, G Money, a lot of these rappers.
You gotta look mainstream though. They aren't mainstream. Those are street people. They're
well,
people that come from the street, and they made it.
Even with Nipsey's, like his was a real beef. I mean,
like,
it ended his life. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And so it's like
Nipsey always promoted that he was a gangster before he was ever an artist.
Period, and that's 100%. But that's also what Vaughn. Vaughn said that too. He said before anything, I'm a gangster before I am an artist. He said I did this rap shit when I got out of jail, so I don't go back to jail.
Right.
So like it's just like at some point in time, you just gotta hold them to. I don't know. It's just different beefs in different genres. You know, with hip hop, you got the setup beefs, kind of like he was saying with clap.
Hip hop's mainstream.
So I mean, like
it's so much
here's
clout.
the thing is that like beefs back then held more genuine because they were more personal.
Oh yeah,
like I mean,
100%.
You actually had real beefs, like when you had Pac and Biggie beefing, like that was a real beef.
Yeah, they
like,
was going back and forth, East Coast versus West Coast thing. And shit.
There was, I mean, when Ice Cube left NWA, that was a real beef. Like those were childhood friends that broke up and they're going at each other on wax. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Nowadays, it's someone tweeted about me and now I'm pissed and here's a diss track. Do you feel that it's better that way now, or if it's more real beefs back then?
Nah, I like the real beefs because, to be honest, it's a lot of he said, she said, like you saying, like, so-and-so
But
tweeted
despite
about
the fact,
me.
though, I mean, because in some of those older beefs, like, it caused people to die. You know what I mean?
Entertainment purposes, I like today's beef. I'm just going to say that flat out right now. For entertainment purposes, today's beef is...
I think it's hilarious. It's great.
Quality.
Definitely.
Whereas, like... And honestly, you shouldn't like beef from a human perspective. You shouldn't like two people going at each other.
Right.
And so for you to like beef in the first place is kind of just selfish at you, because that's like, I like them going at each other's neck. But at the end of the day,
I like when I see like what happened with Drake and Push, where it didn't escalate further than it had to, but you saw two artists actually go at it lyrically.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, that's a cool exchange. It's kind of like boxing. It's like, you wouldn't want it to be Mortal Kombat where they kill each other, but it's like you appreciate a good fight because it's showcasing talent. You know what I mean? It's showcasing something healthy, you know, and you get real genuine experience from that, like as a hip hop enthusiast or someone that follows it intuitively like that.
Yeah.
So, as far as like, I'll be really honest to kind of veer back to what we were talking about, Russ. I missed the Russ window. I'm not gonna lie.
I was on the train before he
got see famous, I've had people in my life where they've like been like, you gotta listen to this artist, and I'll be really honest, like I already listen to a lot of artists, so like to add somebody brand new to it is really hard to like, now I gotta follow this person. You know what I mean? Like, gotta do my homework, because I really do feel that way when I pick on the artists. Is like, I don't want to only get a sliver of them. Like, I want to know who they are, where they started, like start from the beginning and actually learn them as an artist. Exactly. And so I'm still working my way through Russ. I've listened to his most recent drops, but I got to start from the beginning. I can say, just as a gem, my favorite track by him is his remix on Can't Believe It. I thought that was pretty hard. I thought, even though it was a softer track, like more towards the female audience, I thought it was really like creative on how he put his own spin on it. And I thought, like, of all the remixes that I've heard, because I mean I heard way back when T-Pain remixed Locked Up, and he put it in his own thing. It kind of gave me that vibe, and I'm like, this guy's actually a genuinely talented artist.
Yeah, he is. I think one thing, like you said, you got to start listening. I definitely would start from the beginning. With Russ, because it shows you his progression as a person, more as an artist. Obviously his vocals and this and that progress, but as a person, you can hear him from the beginning where he didn't really have money. You can hear like him really putting in his soul into it, and like nowadays, like his music, just like a lot of artists when they first, like you guys said, like Meek, like mixtape. Meek was the best. There's a lot of artists like that with their starting stuff or the stuff that they when they first blew up was really, really good and quality music. And as they progress through their career, it slowly gets worse, and just for the fact because they've already gotten to where they want to be, and they already got all the stuff that they've talked about, and all the stuff that they've already done. They've already talked about all the stuff, you know.
We've said those names before on this podcast. I won't really go further into them, but that's a lot of how Jay-Z and Eminem and Lil Wayne and all those guys ended up. Like a lot of them, their music started off great and it kind of regressed from there, and that's just how it goes. I mean,
lyrically,
what you gonna say, Shay?
Not Jay-Z. I can't.
Okay, no. I should have said. I should have said Kanye. That was who I meant to say.
Yeah.
But like Jay-Z is one of those people that beats that dynamic where his music actually just stayed stagnant, like where it was good
all the way throughout his career.
Now I won't say 444 was that great. It was good lyrically.
It was lyrically good.
It was good lyrically, but here's the problem though: is I found out that like Jay cannot sell a huge album without Ye. If there's no Collective Control without Ye on it, after a certain point in time, it became they had to be kind of together.
Yeah.
And even vice versa, like Ye's kind of putting out some not great stuff, and it's a little shoddy.
I can't tell you the last time Ye's put out some good stuff, if I'm gonna be honest.
Well, I don't see. I like everything up until, so I liked everything leading up until he did that those mixtapes that he dropped, the Ye and then Kids See Ghosts. I like those, but they didn't sell to me as classics. And I think that's where it kind of hit that like weird transition. And then obviously, you know, Kanye's had a pretty interesting year for 2021.
Jay-Z made Suit and Tie, right?
Huh?
Yeah, that's like the only song I really ever listened to by Jay-Z was Suit and Tie. And that was
really?
Like middle school. Yeah, I would really.
Damn, man,
that.
You really.
I really like underground artists. I like people that nobody really heard.
No, so I mean, because I haven't had the opportunity. Like I've had one person on here that has done the same thing. Like he's just like, I don't really like that new, like I don't like the moguls, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, I've never been the kind of person in anything, to be honest. Not just music, but anything. Is it more like along the lines though of like, is it like more like do you not like them due to it like other people really like them, so you just don't like to follow the crowd, or is it more like
I just don't follow the crowd?
Okay,
I just don't. It's as simple as that. I just don't follow the crowd.
Well, because I mean, there's some people that will tell you that like
they make good music.
There's people that'll tell you like someone that's like a big name like Lil Wayne, like he's not talented. You know what I mean? But, like there's other people that'll just say that they don't like Lil Wayne because all my friends like Lil Wayne, so I didn't want to like him. You know what I mean?
Well, it's not even like, it's not that I don't like the artist. It's not even that
I
just
don't follow their music. Yeah,
I just don't. It's not even like if one of their good songs come on, like I don't even follow Drake. Really, I don't.
Yeah.
But I know his songs. Like it's not that I don't know which song is Drake's or not, and it's that same instance. Like I don't follow a lot of artists, to be honest. I'm not in a lot of artists.
Well, see, I can respect that because 100%. You stay true to liking what you like. You know what I mean? And like I can respect that.
And it's always been like, I mean, so back in middle school, I used to be really mainstream, like LMFAO. You know, like I used to, whatever was pop back in middle school. Obviously, that was my thing. Radio, but as I got older, I started following World Star Hip Hop a lot.
Yeah.
On my own, and instead of trying to be like the first one to listen to the biggest artist's new song, I wanted to be the first one to find the new biggest artist. That was my goal. So that's what I really spent a lot of time doing. Was finding artists that were extremely underrated. and then showing them off to my friends and telling my friends about them, and then the next thing you know, just these artists are pulling millions of views, and you're like, I told you guys that this artist was gonna do it. Like, there's plenty of artists I can go off, like Lil Peep, Lil Skies, not Peep, by the way, Lil Pete. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
No, I know.
Yeah, Lil Skies, Russ. There's artists that come and go that I've showed people that
genuinely.
There's so many artists that you never hear of, that you literally never hear of, and they pull maybe 2,000, 3,000 views.
Them 3 names.
So we did kind of create a little segment in and of itself that when we were talking about beefs being real and having like real stipulations to them, like usually when it becomes real is it usually revolves around rivalry gang members and stuff like that. Something we talked about when we were actually at your house one time, we were talking about Tekashi and his whole situation that he's in. Is it something that you feel is well deserved, or do you feel like he's a kid and people should hold him to a different light because he got into kid stuff?
No.
Well, he got into real men stuff, but he was a kid doing it. Because see, I've heard the argument of people like,
all right, I'll let you go.
Because I've heard the argument of people saying that like, oh, he snitched because like he's a kid, like you can't expect him to not snitch, like snitching so outplayed, like what is this 1990, like, and I'm like, well, I know, but like
so
here's
many
my
reasons
philosophy
behind it.
If I know to myself, I'm not a gangster, I would never try to play to be one.
Exactly.
And I'm not gonna put myself in an environment where real life gangsters got to sit in front of the feds and either snitch or do 25.
Period.
And if you're not ready for that lifestyle, you shouldn't surround yourself around that lifestyle.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, this is where I'm going to go. Okay. So, as 6ix9ine as an artist, first of all, me personally, I don't like his music. Never have. From the day he came out, I've never been a fan 100%. Of his music. Okay. But I don't hate on the guy. Like, I can't hate on a guy. He's rich. Like, he did something that me and you couldn't. At least so far, you know what I'm saying? Like he went out there and got rich at what 17 or 18. Like he's young, you know. Like if anything, a lot of people should more take a look at what he did and the way he used social media to influence everybody to listen to him. He actually made a really big impact as well on the game with the trolling, with all the stuff that he did. But with him snitching. I honestly, if I was in the same shoes, not saying I would ever be in his same shoes because I would never do that to myself.
Right, yeah, you wouldn't put yourself in the situation to have to do that.
Exactly. But if I was in his same shoes, I mean, you kidnap my baby mama, right? Is that who you kidnapped? Or his mom? No, they try to kidnap his mom. They've like done so much stuff to him, like
hostage,
this like this gang has done so much stuff to him, like, and I have a chance to put him away for 25, like, and get fed protection and go back home with millions in my bank account. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna sit in here for y'all when y'all just did all this to me to try to keep me quiet. You know what I'm saying? Like, now y'all really screwed yourselves. Now but a lot of people just look at it as just from the base platform. Like, you sit back and you don't hear any of the backstories, you know. You just see that 6ix9ine snitched and got released kind of a thing. That looks very radish, but how many artists have snitched, right? Like, how many artists have big artists
so we talked about this before, right? And we're gonna try and not necessarily recreate the conversation, because I mean every conversation is wrong. But here's my thing with it is, can I sit here and say that if I was looking at never being able to see my family again, knowing that I have a daughter, a wife, and family, or snitch on the people that I once called my team or family, like, I think it's pretty common sense. You're gonna do what you feel like is right if you're not from that scene. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not built that way, you're gonna snitch and you're gonna do what you have to get out.
But right, you called your team and family, but they didn't call you that back.
Right, but that's the thing though, is that, like, here's the thing though, is that if I'm in his situation, I'm also a normal human being where I understand the hole that I dug for myself. Yeah, if I knew I was playing with the gun, I can't be pissed if I shot myself.
You made that bed.
You made your bed. You gotta lay in it.
Yeah. You have to lie in it.
That's where I think people got this misconception of, like, oh, well, he's fake because he didn't, you know, he did what, you know.
You expected what everybody expected 6ix9ine to do since the jump. I'm sorry.
Right.
That's what I expected 6ix9ine to do, was coming in the game. He's fake. As soon as he hit the game, I knew it instantly. That's fake.
He had He had a video where half the video was blue flags and the other half was red flags. Like right from the jump, you can't
do
an
that
artist
to
in
come
New York.
in and say you exactly and
in
say
New York,
big game.
It doesn't work that way.
And you got a big you can't do that. Number 2. I'm sorry. Yes, I know the backstory. You know, they kidnapped him. They fucked his baby moms, all that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You made that bed. You have to lie in it. Genuinely, you do. I'm sorry. You may not be from there, but you know who these people are. You know what they're about. Yeah. You made that bed. You have to lie in it. I'm sorry. You snitch. Snitching, you broke the code, period. Even if you not from there, you broke the code. No matter which way you go.
Hey, you broke the code.
You broke the code. And genuinely, you a snitch. You a fake person.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, your background.
But just like you said, you make the bed, you gonna lay in it. So he snitched. What did he do? You know,
you're snitch now. Guess what?
Hey, and what does he do though?
He's snitch.
What does he do though? He promotes that shit to the max. It's not even like it bugs him.
Exactly.
Okay, so now here's the problem.
Like, yeah, I'm alright.
Here's the problem that I had was that in the heat of the moment, you got sat down in a room and you got told, this is what you're busted on. And this type of charge will put you behind bars for 25 to life. I mean, you could be doing all the way to what CEOs are doing for this crime.
Yes, sir.
And you either have 2 options. Either you're going to route out the people that put you in this boat, or you're going to do time for people that don't give a shit about you. Yeah. But here, like I said, though, here's the problem is that the problem that I have with this is that you didn't even learn your lesson.
No,
you came out and then promoted this shit. And then on top of that, you decided to go ahead and keep putting on this gangster persona because he's out here jumping people and doing it on camera and trying to fight people on camera. And I'm like,
standing out on O Block at 6 a.m. with your feds right behind you.
Nobody about to touch you. Come on.
And here's the thing: is I never wish any harm on anybody.
No.
But there are people that I see that I'm like, bro, you're gonna end up on a headline for the wrong reason, man. And I feel bad because like you think it's funny and cute because you're a kid, but you're fucking with fire. You play with fire, you're gonna get burned.
Here's the thing, and I may be reaching here, but I feel Tekashi's always been fucking with the feds since day one. When Tekashi was running around calling out Chief Keef, all these real thug ass niggas.
You think they were using him as a ploy?
And they were using him as a ploy to get these rappers to come out and beef with him
and actually get them locked up for real reasons.
Exactly, for real reasons, because then if people around him bodies start to drop. Yeah, it's all connected. He's been fucking with the fans since day one. 100%.
6ix9ine, honestly though, like you say, like I don't know. I don't think his life's really in too much danger, even though he's put it like out there. Like he's got so much protection from the Fed. It's ridiculous. You have to understand how much money he gives them for protection. And he still pulls over millions a month off of streams. His videos still are over 200 million, 300 million views. And his streams are still above. Like people say he fell off, but if you go look at his YouTube channel, he fell down. He didn't fall off. He fell down.
Yeah, well,
there's artists like, for instance,
we were drawing this comparison before. We were saying that there's a big difference between like
a million views, right? But he used to pull 200 million, and now he pulls 2 to 5 million.
There's a big difference between fully falling. Like it's like an analogy. Like there's Ja Rule falling off, or there's Eminem falling off. Where like still dude makes millions, you know what I mean? Like he didn't make as much as he did back then, but he's still making millions. Yeah. Ja Rule could put out a song and no one would give a shit today. Like no one even care. If it didn't have Ashanti on it, no one would care. Like, and even then, he still might not be able to sell.
on that snitching spectrum, though, there is like I kind of want to pick your brain about this. I don't know if you heard about it, but the TikTok kid that made that song like Corvette. Like that,
I've heard it everywhere just because I have TikTok. But,
but I don't know if you heard the backstory behind that. So Uzi remixed it, right? He dropped a remix with Uzi, but then Uzi took it down because I guess bro who made the song originally had snitched at like 12 years old. But the reason why he snitched, he was a witness to a murder, and his mom's the one who made him. His mom's the one who made him go down and tell the police what happened. And to like, I just want to know, like, is that genuine? Does that make you a snitch? No, I don't think so. At the age of 12.
Like how you were saying, like, people...
and they not in that street life, but they not in that street life. They good. They raised in a good home.
Here's the thing. Like how you saying about Tekashi, how like, he's still a kid, so he's just snitch. Tekashi's not a kid.
Yeah, that's a man.
12 years old, he is a kid. Straight kid. Like, you cannot get on him, Uzi, about that.
Exactly. Like,
and that's wrong for Uzi to do,
There's a different type of a kid, and then there's young boy type of kid. Young boy, since he's been 12, has had a kid. Or whatever. His first kid was at 14 or something. So, young boy, he's a different type. You know, kids are grown and breeded different type in different ways. You know what I'm saying? So, but this kid, he wasn't in that street life yet. He was raised in a good home, all this shit. His mom's the one that made him go down there and do that.
And who's even to say he's in the street life now? He just made a song.
Exactly. Who's saying that he is in the street life, but he snitched at 12-year-old and they want to pin him as a snitch. Like, to me,
here's my thing: is when it comes to kids, I think that street life mentality goes away. Like that's when the rules become it doesn't pertain to them. And now here is the other part of it is like some people don't have that option, so I won't say that like, oh, that kid shouldn't have been doing that, because that's what anyone would tell you. But the fact of the matter is that's why it's important for these artists that have that platform. Like what Uzi should have did was not get on him about it, but rather than have said, hey, look, like, this is a lifestyle that, I mean, friends of mine, if he was friends with Nipsey Hussle, or if he was friends with people that have died over it, this is a lifestyle that ain't no joke. It'll take you, or you can move away from it and be smarter than it. You know what I mean? Especially when you come up with something as big as like Corvette. Like,
yes, genuinely.
That's like $1 million type of ordeal. Like, there's no reason to like put yourself in a predicament where like you're not even gonna be able to see the riches of that because you might be doing life. You know what I mean? Or like,
but what I see it as too, like a lot of these real street thug niggas in the game right now, if you look back at it, some of them at 12 and 13 and 14 was not in the fucking streets. So how you gonna classify somebody else's that's snitching, but when you was 12, 13, 14, you wasn't in the streets, you know what I'm saying? You was at home being a good kid, going to school, and you didn't hit the streets till you turned 15, 16.
You said
know what I'm saying?
He was on that, remade the song and took it down because oh boy snitched at 12. Right? Okay, so from Uzi's perspective, where does that ever make sense? Right.
Well, you're beefing with a kid.
You know what I mean?
Like,
I don't even know how old the kid is that made the song.
Uzi's not even a street rapper himself.
See,
that's the problem. He doesn't even make drill rap himself. He's not in the streets himself.
That was my mentality.
He's on the clouds. Like, come on.
That was my mentality towards when like 50 was beefing with Tekashi, and when T.I. was beefing with Tekashi, and like
clout.
Yeah, like they were just kind of like, it's literally like you're just trying to put your name in their mouth just to try and get some benefit out of it. And it's like, bro, y'all are like 20, 30 years in the game. Like, and y'all are beefing with this kid that probably won't even be relevant in 5 years. Like, it just, for what? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, at some point in time, you got to use your platform to teach rather than to just start shit with people for the sake of it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of where I got, like, I honestly, anything that Tekashi comes up with, I usually just turn a blind eye to it, because I'm just like, bro, like, I mean, if you're out here still doing that even after the fact that you just dodged life in prison, and on top of that, like, who's to say that it isn't real? If it is real, like, you got targets on all your family's head for the shit that you pulled. Like, is it worth it? You know what I mean? Because I mean,
in the long run, was the money worth it? No.
Right.
I don't personally think so.
No.
Because I mean, that's the thing, is that like there's that ideology of like, are you really free if you have to hide your whole life? Like, is that free? You know what I mean? Like, that, I mean, that's equivalent to being in a jail cell. Yeah, he probably would have got killed in jail, but like, I mean,
I don't know. Depends.
Well, I'm talking about like if you don't get protection in prison like that. You know what I mean? Like, and assuming that he actually goes to a real prison, like how Wayne went to Rikers Island.
Okay,
like,
yes.
You know what I mean? Like, you get locked up in a real prison.
Yeah,
then
he wouldn't have got that shit. He would have been done for.
He probably wouldn't have gone to a real
prison. Exactly.
I don't know.
Fuck no.
Nowadays,
I was hearing the name, like, some prisons that were coming up that were like, those are real prisons. Like, they don't have the luxury prisons like how, you know,
Vic.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, you go to those prisons with turf football fields in the back.
like I know Kodak had special treatment, not nearly as good as
Kodak had fucked up treatment down in Florida.
But not as bad as the regular.
Okay. So we're gonna break up another can of worms.
Kodak had definitely little ins and outs. When you have money like
kill Kodak.
How y'all feeling on that whole Kodak getting released?
Oh, I love it.
Oh, I love it. You know what? Sorry, Trump did that shit.
I hate that, man.
Trump did that. I'm gonna tell you what. That man is so slick with
He's
the
a
shit.
businessman.
No,
No.
I'm talking about.
businessman.
I don't like Kodak.
What?
No, I
You hate Kodak?
You can't fuck with the Kodak.
No, and here's why.
Why?
I didn't even like his music before this all happened, but after that whole comment that he had with Lauren London, I was like, nah, I'm good.
What? What comment?
You didn't hear about that?
No.
Literally like a week or month like after Nipsey died, he like shot a shot at Lauren London, which is Nipsey's ex-wife.
Yeah. Okay.
And he's like, oh yeah, she all widowed up. Like I wife her even though she's widowed up right now. I'm like, bro, you don't say that.
Nah.
Like, dog, like T.I. was on this man's head. He's like, bro, if I see you, bro, it's on sight. Like, and I'm like,
I don't know.
I can't. See,
I like
here's my
Kodak,
thing
though.
is I know that some of that's like I'm sure he probably said that to get play.
Clout, yeah.
But it's like at some point in time you have to like differentiate what's good clout and what's
you gotta
bad.
watch your
You know what I
mouth,
mean? Like
but-
shit
Hey,
you
I
don't
hate to
say. You know what I mean?
break it,
Like
but Kodak,
That's Kodak.
Kodak was bigger than Nipsey was for a minute.
For a minute, Kodak did
that
take
might
the
be a hard
spotlight.
cap.
No, Kodak took
You
the,
can't take the throne. You can't take the throne, but
he
you
took
can
the
take the
spotlight.
spotlight.
He definitely took the spotlight
You
for-
could definitely take the spotlight.
Here's
I'd say-
honestly like if I were to really compare him to something,
my
he's a
sophomore
lesser
and
talented
junior-
version to me. He's a lesser talented version of Gucci Mane to me. That's how I view him.
Depending.
Okay. If you were to turn
listen
Gucci Mane
Mainstream?
into a mumble rapper, you'd get Kodak.
But
No,
depends.
but you gotta
Depends
listen
what
to-
kind of Kodak
you gotta
are
listen
you
to
listening
YouTube
to?
Kodak.
Yeah, because if you just listen
I
to
won't
the
lie, I
mainstream,
haven't gotten into all his stuff.
if
so
you
like,
get into the old Kodak where you can actually hear his lyrics, that man is a lyrical person.
I reckon, like, yes, he does, like, but he's still, there's still a lot of, like, there's songs that just.
I mean,
in his newest song that he released,
did he already? Is he already starting to release?
Yeah, Last Day
Yeah,
In.
la-
Oh my
Last Day
God,
In,
it
yeah.
took a week.
No, it was the first day.
It was the first day
Oh,
out. His first
shit.
day out.
Oh, so he
dropped
pulled the-
Last Day In.
Yeah, it was his last day
He
in.
pulled, he
and-
pulled a T.I. fresh out of prison and
Yeah.
dropped something.
Yeah, it was called Last Day In, and one of the bars was Trump free me, but my favorite president is on the money.
Oh.
Like
And,
some
like-
shit. Man,
And like
that-
he is a lyrical person, but you just kind of look past
It was a
'cause he's
love
so
hate thing because
mainstream.
like
He's so
I hate Kodak, but I was happy that he pardoned Lil Wayne. I was like, all right, that's cool.
Nah.
No?
That man is stupid right now. Why the hell did he sell
Well,
the
no, I'm not.
masters?
Yeah, I'm not saying what he did was smart, but like,
Man, keep him in jail. He need to learn something because he just lost a lot of fucking money.
well, here's my problem is that like this is the same thing you did back in 08.
Yeah,
Like the same thing.
Like,
Like
bro, like he was fighting Birdman to get the masters. You got the masters, then you went and sold them back. What the fuck?
well, then it's the same company that
had them in the
Kanye is
first
trying to get out of right now.
Exactly.
Like Kanye's to the point where he has a whole album done. Like he is ready to release this thing whenever it's ready, or well, whenever he wants to. He's not releasing it because he refuses to release it under Universal. And like you just sold the masters to not only yourself, or I don't know, it might have been. I don't know if it was yourself or not.
It was.
But I thought it
himself.
was just Drake's, Nicki's, and Tyga's.
It was him, Nicki's, Drake's, and Tyga. It was all YMCMB. It was all Young Money. He sold all well, not all their masters because they have a lot
Yeah,
of their
just
masters
to certain
on
stuff,
but,
yeah.
Their own
but
masters
when
too,
they were
but yeah.
under YMCMB,
Well, I think after
all
Drake
those
left
songs,
to OVO, I think he owned everything after that. Like
Yeah.
he has the masters to all his stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. The whole masters thing we've talked about before too, and I just can't I can't wrap my head around not wanting to own your own music.
a lot of people don't know how.
Well, and that's the thing is that that's why I wish artists like Meek Mill or
Russ, people.
yeah,
like
like
that.
Russ and like all these artists that actually
Even Young
beat
Boy.
the game. Like they actually figured out. I mean, and Ye's trying. I really hope
they did
that
beat the game.
some Illuminati shit doesn't happen with Ye because he's exposing the industry, dog. Like he is saying a little more than what he used
And
to say.
when you start to do that, what happened to Aaliyah?
Right, yeah,
and
you
all
start,
these
you start,
other
you start giving out the
ones, yes,
secrets,
sir.
and all of a sudden,
They off you, bro. They take
and
you
that's
off the
and it's
map.
sad because it's like,
Pot.
Yeah,
but you know,
Pac,
I
Aaliyah,
put
all
good
of them.
vibes and I put good energy around Ye because like it takes a real man to be able to look out for the new generation. Because anyway, if I were in Ye's shoes, or not if I were, but anyone that was in Ye's shoes is like, I already made millions. I don't gotta do shit for the next generation. I'm already solidified in hip hop Hall of Fame forever. Like,
I don't know.
I don't need to prove anything else.
I don't know. He kind of losing his mind to me.
Psych, I'm playing.
I don't know. He kind of. I don't know. Him and Kim getting divorced. There's a reason behind all that. That man's losing his mind.
No, he is. He's going crazy. Like watch his interviews.
He's
and
in
stuff.
a bad. He's in a bad mental state.
Yes,
but I think it's primarily because, in my opinion, I mean, like, just researching the man. He really hit hard when he lost his mom. I think that
genuinely did hit.
And I mean, that's been an issue since way back in his like first or second album. Like that happened way back when. So it's like,
I mean, those little actions like that in life can literally drive somebody to the point where they go insane.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean,
you can see it on him. It's kind of bad.
I'm not
gonna
cap. Like, I've never lost a parent, and
I've never
I don't know how I'd react. You know what I
mean?
mean? Like, I don't know. I genuinely feel like it would change me.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean? Like, you don't have like that counseling that like I'm sure he had when he was younger. I mean, that last song on his first album talked all about his lifestyle of like having that person in the background. I know she only got mentioned in one part of the song on the last call, but it was like you can tell where his counseling came from. You know what I mean? And not
sometimes you only mention it once too because it hurts too bad to mention it the rest of the time.
Yeah, literally.
Right. So. Well, and then it becomes hard because once you get accustomed to that lifestyle where you're living this around millionaires and people that really only give a fuck about you because you can make them money, like you lose that counseling. And then to boot, like a lot of people kind of sneak that under the rug, but like Jay-Z at one point in time became his brother, and that became his not necessarily replacement, but like someone that he can feel onto whenever he like felt like he was lost or he didn't know the direction to go into. And with them beefing now and not talking anymore, it's not a surprise that he's derailed mentally as much as he has.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And I feel for that because, like, I have people in my corner that, like, if my parents weren't here, some people that I would lean on to or that I feel like I could trust with help in that regard. And if I lost them too, like, I don't know where I'd be. You know what I mean? Like, mentally.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know. I think Kanye is mentally not in the right mind state. Obviously, like, he's gotten himself out of holes financially. Yeah. But mentally, I think he's only dug himself deeper. So because I feel like he's getting so like when he went like, you know, broke and all that, he was so focused on like other things than his happiness. I feel like here shortly you'll see like a couple sad songs come in and a couple things just because he doesn't. Like, I've watched his interviews just recently. Like, he just doesn't look right, like, mentally in his head. I don't know what we could expect to see from him in the future.
Like, I heard for the longest time that, like, the interviews that he was doing when he was getting into politics was, like, only certain pieces of it were getting, you know, taken out of proportion. Context. They were trying to make him sound crazy, but he was actually making some sense to some stuff. But
that's what you do when you're in politics.
Well, and when I actually listen to these full interviews, I'm like, no, he kind of is losing his mind. He's saying some shit that really shouldn't be said.
Literally,
you're like
at one point in time, like the big one that he said for a while was that slavery was fake. Optional, like, that people like chose to be slaves, and it's like what he was trying to say was that people in the music industry choose to be slaves because they don't get their masters and they don't go about shit correctly. But then he said something crazy about, I think it was Harriet Tubman. I was like,
Harriet Tubman
that didn't even have an analogy behind it. Like, that didn't even have an analogy behind it. Like, you weren't even trying to compare it to something. You just said that just to say
it. And then start crying right after.
Yeah,
what the fuck?
Oh no.
That's where I'm saying, like, his mood is like, it's just a straight roller coaster. It's like Kanye's here and then Kanye is here.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, it's tough, man. I can't speak for everyone's demons, but he's gotta hopefully snap out of it, man, because he's going down a road that.
Hey, Kanye, 2025, is that what?
That's 2024.
I'm gonna be controversial.
Bro, if we get Kanye as
one.
president, I will say that I have lived.
Oh, yeah, I would say that.
I'm good. We lived. I saw it all.
Canada, here I come.
Canada, here I come.
But
honestly, I think I might have to hit up Elon Musk about that SpaceX.
Yeah,
Get me off
Y'all
this.
still got a ticket to that space Earth?
some controversial topic right now, though. Who's the Tupac and Biggie of the generation?
Oh shit.
Juice.
So
And I don't know which one he is, but I think Juice is, or not Juice. Yeah, Juice is definitely up there with
we're
one of those
we're in
top
a
two.
we're in a special era of hip hop where artistry is changing to more sound than it is lyricists. And
Depending on who you're listening to.
Right. But see, that's where I'm going to kind of get into this is, do you feel that the state of hip hop today is just a phase, and then that once will mumble rap die off?
Oh yeah, it's dying off right now.
Like,
100%.
and will it be extinct?
It
So like
won't
no
be
one will
extinct.
ever. Well,
No.
it'll be extinct, like because like
It's its own genre now.
Yeah, it'll always be its own genre,
Like,
just
it's-
like
it's
hip hop,
created
just
its
like
own-
pop. But
Well, it's like a break off inside of hip hop. Like you go into hip hop and you have different branches inside of hip hop, and it's just one of those few branches inside of hip hop.
well, cause see, like I've come to the understanding,
or
like
whatever. You know?
yeah,
from what I've seen is we're in the era of producing.
yeah.
Like
808s.
yeah, well everyone's got
AOP,
like.
are you wanna come out?
In my opinion, I think it trickles down more to we're less in that area of like you have to be the one that can spit a hot 16, rather than like if you had a good producer on your song and you may not be that talented of an artist, you can probably still get a good name for yourself. You know what I mean? Like if you already have your plugins, like where you're at.
The only reason I say Juice is like one of the top artists for nowadays age is just his lyrical talent. Juice WRLD's lyrical talent is.
Well, see, I wish
You've
like
seen Juice WRLD's like hour freestyles.
I'm really
That guy
really
is
sad that
insane.
like I didn't get plugged into Juice until after he passed away.
Yeah,
And like
that's
my
a lot of people.
I chose. It wasn't that I chose not to listen to him. I think it just had more to do with, like I said, that overload of artists that I was following. Like I just at one point in time I just wasn't like following new artists.
yeah.
Like I just kind of like was following whoever I was following, and that was it.
Well,
Because-
it feels kind of weird, to hop on a trend of an artist after he passed away. Like personally, me,
Well,
like,
see,
like
okay.
wait, before Pop Smoke died, I was listening to Pop Smoke, and then he died, and then next thing you know, just like everybody hops on
Yeah.
that trend, and I'm just like from one of those people that hops on that trend. How do you physically like that as me for a person? I feel like that'd feel weird.
So,
like I didn't know who this artist was, and then
something
he
that
dies, and now I
hits
know who
home
he
to
is.
me, and a lot of people get they don't get upset. They're just like, "What? No way!" And I'm like, "Oh, that's just how I feel." Like, so I have never really tethered myself to Mac Miller. Like, never.
Miller has
I
his
can
own
see that.
taste.
But
I can
see-
see that because I've never really tethered myself to Mac Miller that
See,
much.
Right,
he has
and
his own
see, and here's the
taste.
thing
I
is that
love Mac.
I
personally.
respect him as an artist.
Oh, 100%.
Like, he did great things, and I
He
mean,
can
his
play the
music will be
piano,
carried
the
on forever.
guitar. He can do so
He's a
much.
great
Right.
lyricist.
But see, like, till this day, before death and after death, I don't listen to
Nope.
Mac Miller.
Not
You know what I
yet.
mean? Like, I don't have a
See,
taste to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, all artists, everybody, they all have their own taste. Everybody has their own taste for their artist, And Mac Miller's definitely one of those more not sad boy, but sad boyish vibes.
Yeah.
He's like more happy, but not. Everybody knew Mac was sad, but Mac's goal was to make everybody.
Oh no! I
else
mean, I
happy.
could.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean,
Like,
for as little
and
as
like-
I followed him, I definitely could see that there was a little bit of a like he's fighting some real ass demons.
Yeah.
Like,
but his
mean-
main goal in life, like if you listen to his music, is to make everybody else happy. Like in his music, you can hear him trying
So,
to make everybody else happy.
I want a
and
real
that's where I
hard
listen to
take
him.
feel on this because I really like. I've asked this question to people, and oddly enough, females tend to get all upset about when you say that. But was it right or wrong for Ariana to get attacked the way she did
For his death?
about his death?
Yes.
Yeah,
Hell,
that's right.
hell yes.
Is it fair?
Yes.
Okay. Because I've asked girls and they're like, well, it's not her job to fix him, and it's like
No,
it's
no,
not.
it's not.
It's
Okay.
not about fixing him
It's not
though.
about
It's
fixing
about
him.
like
It's not about
respect.
what that exactly. It's about the respect. You didn't have enough respect for at that point in time, and we all know why Mac Miller died. Just because of Pete Davidson, the Ariana Grande situation. Pete sent those pictures, those videos to Mac. Mac after that did what he did, passed away.
Okay, posted on Twitter right before he passed away something about like.
So there was some
seeming in the afterlife kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
he knew what
he was doing.
I have to say alleged, so I don't get sued. But like, do you believe that his was suicide, or do you believe that it was overdose, or do you believe
it was
that
suicide.
It was intentional?
It was intentional. It was intentional.
Because I've seen some.
Because heartbreak could really do that to a person. Yeah, and that's genuine.
He was down.
Yeah, genuinely. When you have somebody that's by your side, that's your number one, and you rocking with them, and that make you
all your
that
time,
brings you
all
up
your
here,
effort, everything. You put
and then,
everything in there.
You go your separate ways. You do come back down into being this different person to where as a female, and a lot of females.
I'm not even gonna cap.
And they're gonna disagree to it, but a lot of females
back in 2017, I relate to that because I've never had been
like foxes. Yeah. Like if a female fox dies, the male fox will stay single for the rest of its life.
Yeah.
Isn't that how penguins are too?
If a male fox dies, a female fox will go find a new husband or a new mate like that. It's and it's just nature. It's nothing wrong against.
No, but it's nothing against females or males, because I know males that do that too. Yeah, don't get me wrong.
Well, I mean, like, I'm kind of living in that. Like, in terms of like back in 2017, before 2017, I was pretty shredded. Like, I still have my six pack, was pretty fit. Like, I think I maybe like weighed like $145, $140. I went through a very bad breakup in 2017 to the point where it just put me. I felt like that was the closest to low that I could be.
You telling me?
I drank like a motherfucker, bro. Like, I was K-ing bottles by the couple of days. Like, I was going through it, and like I'm living in it because I now my body got all out of weight, and now I gotta like get back into what I looked like before. And it's like I relate to that. Like, substance abuse is a real thing. Like, people can like really fall into these like mental holes, and it's like people think that it's like genuine. Easy as like, well, you just put the bottle down or you just put the drugs down. It's like sometimes it ain't that easy.
It's
like
literally not that easy. Like,
people use it as a coping mechanism.
Same with me. 2019, I was putting my fault, but 2019 I was pushing around like 180, 185. Like, I was up there. I was a big boy. Went through a really like fucked up breakup and everything.
Yeah.
After that, bro, I'm 160. I just hit 160. Back to 160. I was my lowest. I literally dropped 145, doing things I ain't had no business doing. Like, I fucked my whole life after that. Like, yeah, that shit really happens, and that shit is real. Like,
everybody's got a coping mechanism. That's the problem.
Oh, yeah.
And, different countries, it varies. I mean, you can literally go to, like, I know parts of like Brazil and stuff where they like use cocaine, but more cocoa leaves and stuff like that. But they use cocaine as a coping mechanism. I'm like down in Afghanistan or something like that. They use hemp. I know the United States is pretty big on liquor or cigarettes or nicotine. It just depends on where at in the world you are, what coping mechanisms are available to you. Obviously, you have ones that are super unhealthy for you, and you have ones that are actually great for you. Like we all know just as well as working out, running. Those are just as well as a good coping mechanism as drinking or smoking or whatever. Right. And it's more of the mental state of getting yourself out of bed or out of your house in order to go work out. Because you could sit at home and drink a beer. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But you can't. You ain't really gonna work out sitting at home. You ain't gonna do 10 sit-ups sitting at home. You don't have the motivation to do that sitting at home.
Well, and that's I think like problem. Even if I were to go through another massive heartbreak like that ever again, like,
do you know how to keep yourself up?
I think I've channeled that energy to like, if today that happened, you know what I mean? I think I would naturally go towards wanting to just put myself in a like production standpoint where I just want to start grinding out whatever I'm passionate about at that time. I want to just do that. Yep. You know what I mean? And turn that energy into positive energy.
Yeah, that's a big thing that I suffer with personally. Just because, not personally, but I've seen people suffer with personally. Like, when my parents got divorced, my dad, personally, from my standpoint, I would see, that as motivational, as something like to get myself on my feet, make sure I have money in my bank account, make sure I could go get my kids every weekend type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Whereas my dad, first couple of years, it was pretty good actually. And then slowly just, falls off. Like, you stop to lose motivation because I don't know, like you go through these heartbreaks and these heartfelts, and you're losing all this motivation when, and the opposite should be giving you motivation, right? Like it should really inspire you. But I understand where it brings you down, and I understand like the hurt and how hard it is to get out of that hole. But at the end of the day, it should really inspire you to do better and go do what you want to do with your life. And at the end of the day, if you're like really thinking about it, you should really want to go and boss up and flex on whoever just lost you. You know what I'm saying? They just lost you out of their life. Now it's your time to go show them why they should have kept you, kind of a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know like I've been through heartbreaks and that shit hurts, but I've now put myself in a standpoint where I've always put myself first now. Like no female will ever come before me, and that sounds super selfish. And maybe one day, like if I have a daughter or something, she might, have to come before me or something. But but like for the meantime, I'm focused on myself, and I feel like that's a big key thing, because you can. I mean, I know you're deeper into a relationship, but when you focus on yourself, it's so much easier to keep a healthy relationship.
Self-care is the best care, man.
So to close out in the last 5 minutes, real quick, one last artist that we didn't get the chance to get to yet, Fabo. Is there actually a album Fabo and a mixtape Fabo, or?
Nah,
is it just Fabo?
He's delivered his whole career,
Yeah, Fabo's whole career, that's just Fabo. Fabo goes into a song with just a mindset of,
I've heard this argument. I've heard this argument vice versa. Fabo came up in a time era where there were a lot of juggernauts in New York. There was just way too much heat coming out for him to even get a shot to be big.
I mean, shit.
There was an argument that if he would have came out on the West Coast, he would have been a lot bigger. Because at that time, the only big people at that time that was true West Coast would have been someone like Snoop was pretty big at that time. Game came out pretty big at that time. And people like that. Like they said that he would have had more creativity than those type of artists, as opposed to like someone like 50 Cent or like.
Nah, I think Fab, where Fab sits in, he fits in. Like honestly, genuinely, because they say that he's not that good, but then you see that.
I appreciate Fab.
Yeah, he has these hit songs with like Tamaya and things like that.
The Soul Tapes trilogy is one of my favorite strings of mixtapes ever. Like I put him up there with Meek's mixtapes, like Dream Chasers trilogy. I should call it Saga because there's 4. But I put him up there with a little bit of Wayne's catalog for mixtapes. Not all of them at all, but like he could hang with some of them if you put him up against other ones. There's just like there's a wide variety to Fabo that I just feel got a little overshadowed. So I heard like a little bit of argument about like if he would have came out in a different era or area of the state or the country, that he might have got more play.
It depends, because your chances are slim at different areas in the country,
or even like Atlanta. You know what I mean? Like
exactly. Okay.
I mean, T.I. at one point in time was T.I. and Jeezy were pioneering in it, but like Jeezy had a ceiling at one point in time.
Yeah.
And T.I. led the pack in terms of Atlanta after Outkast had retired, and like there was nobody really there. I mean, I guess you could say Gucci. And maybe a couple other names, but there wasn't like anyone that was like at T.I.'s level, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like not anyone that sat eye to eye with him.
Nah, never.
Because I mean, T.I. at one point in time was.
That's why nobody would do a versus with T.I. And that's genuine. That's why you see nobody has called out T.I. to do a versus. Because he
called out 50 and 50 ain't said shit. He knows. Like
50 cannot go back and forth with T.I. hit for hit. I'm sorry, he can't.
Yeah.
50 does not have that many hits. No. 50 has about 3. Window Shopper, Mini Men, and
Come on.
See, can't even remember the third one.
Well, he has some good stuff on that follow-up album on the Massacre. Like, yeah, Candy Shop.
Okay, well, yeah,
that's
Candy Shop.
Yeah, he had, I can't.
That's Window Shopper.
I can't.
That is Window Shopper. Stupid.
Yeah, everything after that was pretty ass. Though after the Massacre,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I hate. There's people actually out there that think that like he had a good career outside of like this first 2 albums, and I'm like, bro, he didn't do shit. Maybe if you count G-Unit stuff, but like they only had one good album anyway. Like
I was about to say, G-Unit only had that one good song. Shit, out of everything. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's tough, man. There's a big like that's why I love my podcast because I can there's so much talk in hip hop that it never ends.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I mean, because I haven't even gotten into digging up the dinosaurs of hip hop, breaking into some Eazy-E stuff or talking about like how his relevancy is what generates that idea behind people getting suckered into contracts.
Oh yeah.
Wait, who
and
just
how it
remade
plays out today.
That Pac song? See Me Rolling?
Don't even get me started on that punk ass.
We'll get into that a different day. We'll get into that in a different episode. I gotta get y'all back in
top
here.
100. I'm sorry, he's not. He would never be on my list.
No, NLE's pretty bad.
NLE Chopper.
Oh
He'll
no,
never.
He's bad.
I mean, even like most of the Outlaws weren't that great. There was a couple good ones in there.
Yeah. Before we get off here, one quick thing. We was on that Tupac and Biggie. My Tupac for the generation is Young Boy.
Okay. You're Tupac for the generations, Young Boy.
We'll see.
Oh, it's Young Boy.
All right, well,
we're gonna have to get back here.
We're just hitting the tip of the iceberg.
What is your Tupac before we do get out of here, though?
What's your Tupac for the generation?
So here's how I view it: is from a. I'm gonna just say it, and then I'll leave everybody on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
It's Tory.
Oh.
So all right, yeah, I'll get back on here. I'll get back on here, and we'll talk that shit.
Okay,
there's a reason why.
Okay, yeah,
all right, so
we definitely got to get back on here.
All right, y'all. Well, I'm happy y'all tuned into this podcast episode. Thank you guys so much. I hope this reached you guys in good health, and we hope you guys are enjoying season 1 and season 2 now. Feel free to tune back in and follow us on our socials in the links in the caption below. And like I said, I hope all y'all during this crazy times are having much better luck, and hopefully 2021 pans out much better than 2020 did. Thank you, Marshay, and thank you, Elias, for coming in. I can't wait to do this again with y'all. Tune in to next week's episodes when they come out. And also, shout out to Universal Vibes as well. Go follow them on socials as well. Thank y'all, and have a good one.
God bless.
Peace.
God bless. Stay.
Yes, sir. That's a good hour.
Oh, yeah. Shit, dude, my fucking ass is falling asleep because I've...